Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service this morning is titled, Find a Stillness. You're not hearing me. That's what everyone is saying. Well, Bill, what do you got to say about that? Sounds to me like you can hear me. No, now it's good. Okay, let's start again. Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service today is titled, Find a Stillness, Managing Stress and Burnout. Good morning. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. Susanna Trilligator, the minister of this congregation. And let me start by saying Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope that you're planning to have some fun and some rest this weekend. Maybe you're going to a parade to honor veterans, or a cookout, or hoping the sun comes back out. Look, it's almost there. I hope you're doing something to rest and relax. Memorial Day is often considered the very beginning of summer. And because of that, today we have a service that's about rest and relaxation as we prepare for a summer ahead of us and hope that all of us can get some rest this summer. So I have, before we get started, just a few announcements. Let me see, I've lost my place. Give me a second, please. Okay, here we go. Our church is a vibrant, caring community dedicated to love and service. If you are joining us for the very first time, we have a greeter here to answer any questions you might have. Today, I believe that's Beth Yergrow. Beth, are you here today? I think she's out in the hallway greeting someone. Our greeters, there she is, hello. Our greeters wear a yellow stole so you can find them easily in coffee hour and ask them any questions you might have. Also, thank you to today's usher, Martha Borkin. Thank you to Martha, and to our coffee hosts, Mary Hildebrand and Elsa Quaj. Thank you so much for doing that. We're looking forward to having coffee. A few quick announcements. On Wednesday evening this week, we had a very successful annual meeting. 45 people gathered here to discuss our governance and our financial situation. We passed our budget for next year and elected all our leaders. Thank you to everyone who took part. If you'd like to read our annual report and the budget therein, there's a link in your midweek update, and there are 2 printouts in the library if you're a paper sort of person. You can use one of those. We're now entering into a new cycle with our social justice ministry teams. If you have an idea and a group of folks that you want to do something with, the proposals are due today. If you have another idea not contained in those proposals, I believe we have 2 new ones in. If you have a new idea, please see me or Liz Folzer, there she is, or any other member of the board in coffee hour, and we can talk about that. Next week, after the worship service, we will be voting on those proposals. And next week's service is going to be very special. Rhea is going to lead us in a Pride service, a service for Pride Month, where they are going to lead us in a glitter blessing. It's going to be special and new and different. So that will be fun. Summer is coming, as you know. We used to have a tradition of closing over the summer here, but during the pandemic, we decided to buck that trend, and we started gathering during the summer, sometimes for informal worship services and sometimes for activities like walks in the woods or watercolor painting. So if you would like to gather this summer, you have an idea that you'd like to gather people around, we are taking sign-ups. There's a link in the midweek update, and Rhea is collecting those. So we haven't decided yet how or if we're meeting over the summer. Today's service, just a quick note, Richard Svoboda was due to join us. He was going to play the bassoon for us, but he's not feeling well today, so let's all just send him some healing energy. I hope he's feeling better soon. To access the order of service for today's worship service, you can use this QR code. I know the last couple weeks it wasn't working, but I double-checked it 3 times. I know this one is working today if you want to follow along. I got a big thumbs up from Dan. That will tell you what's happening. Or you can look on our website's homepage at melroseuu.org and click on the More button in the worship box, and it will take you to this page where the worship service is. Now, let's turn and have a good look at our community and say, good morning, welcome to worship. Thanks for coming today. Happy Memorial Day. Good morning. As I say, today's worship service is about rest, and so I call us to worship this morning with words from the Polish-American theologian and activist, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, from his 1951 book called The Sabbath. To set apart a day a week for freedom, a day for being with ourselves, a day of detachment from the vulgar, a day on which we stop worshiping the idols of technological civilization, a day on which we use no money, a day of armistice in the economic struggle with our fellows and the forces of nature. Is there any institution that holds out a greater hope for our progress than the Sabbath? The Sabbath itself is a sanctuary we build, a sanctuary in time. In the tempestuous ocean of time and toil, there are islands of stillness where one might enter a harbor and reclaim one's dignity. Let us build such a sanctuary together now in this sacred hour. Come, let us worship together. Now we light the symbol of our faith, the flaming chalice. Today it will be lit for us by a member of our choir, Peter MUUC. Peter's coming up now. Thanks.
Today we will share our MUUC vision. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join me as you feel comfortable. The words will appear up on the screen. We envision a dynamic faith community that nourishes our liberal religious values of love, reason, conscience, and action. We foster lives of integrity, joy, and service to each other, to Melrose and neighboring communities, and to the world.
Thank you, Peter. If you would please remain standing and join now in our opening hymn, which is number 352 in the gray hymnal, Find a Stillness. This is based on an old Transylvanian hymn. It's special just for Unitarian Universalists and our long history. The words will appear here on the screen. Thank you. Please be seated. So now I have a question. What is stress? What is this thing everybody talks about we're supposed to be working on all the time and letting go of? Well, if we don't know what it is, how do we work on it? So, for today's Time for All Ages, I thought we would use a symbol. This vase is supposed to symbolize your life, right? Your life is already quite full, I might say. It has a lot in it already. And this is a message specifically for the kids, so if you guys want to help me, if you are interested in helping me, you could come forward. Or you don't have to. So, what are the things that are already filling your life, like school, friends, anything else I'm not thinking of? Dance, hobbies, lessons, things that we go to, right? So your life is already quite full. Church, there you go. Now, what happens if something happens in your life and suddenly there's more in it? Like, oh, I don't know, you get sick and you're not feeling well, your body doesn't feel well, or there's a big test coming up and you're really worried about it. Can you think of something else that might add stress to your life? Heather?
Sign up for the talent show.
Sign up for the talent show at school. That would add a lot of stress. Yeah, that would. Heather, do you have an idea?
Screen time.
Screen time. Does that add stress to your life? Ooh, I dropped that. Okay, let's add some. We're out of water already. Let's add some more water. Can you guys think of anything else that adds stress to your life? What if suddenly you grow a lot and your clothes don't fit anymore?
Oh my God.
Didn't think about that one. Oh, Heather's got an idea.
My brother.
My brother. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, 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 wow. We're very close. Viva, you got any ideas for me? What adds stress to your life?
Deadlines.
Deadlines. Oh my gosh, what if you got a big scary deadline at school? What happened? Overflow. It made a big mess. Now your life's a mess. Now, so what I want to demonstrate here is that when your life fills up with stress, and it keeps filling up with stress, and you don't let go of the stress, it can overflow, and you can reach a point where it's just all too much. You're overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, and maybe even you get to a point where you don't care about anything anymore. You get so overwhelmed, something that grown-ups and some people call burnout. Have you ever heard of burnout? Yeah. Well, burnout is a state where you don't care about things anymore. Even things like you don't feel like hanging out with anybody, you don't want to do things that you used to do that you used to think were really fun. Suddenly you have no interest in them anymore. And it can really eat up your life. And so I just wanted to talk to you guys about this. If you ever feel like that, like your life is filled up too much, it's okay to say no, right? Because we only have, our lives are limited. You know, we only have so much space in our lives. And if we try to make it too full, if there's too much we're worried about, that can be dangerous for us and really bad for our health. So if you ever feel like your life is too full, it's okay to say no. And you really should talk to somebody in your life that you trust and tell them that it's too much, that you need to back off, you need some space for yourself, you need to go outside, get some fresh air, and stop worrying so much. Does that make sense? Thank you so much for your good listening. That was my whole story today. All right, thank you. Now you guys can go down to your class. I really appreciate you coming in and coming up here and helping me with this. And we're going to leave that there as a reminder of what we're talking about today. Thank you so much. Every day at the center of our service, we take time for quiet meditation and prayer, time to reconnect with our inner lives, our highest ideals, our own individual sense of the divine. In this time for quiet meditation, we start out by relaxing into our seats, feeling our feet on the floor, taking some deep breaths, maybe closing our eyes if we feel comfortable. And then in this time together, we share a centering song, which is based on the theme of the month. Then we sit for a time of shared quiet. Then we share with one another our joys and sorrows, and then I lead us in prayer. Our worship theme for the month of May is interdependence, and our centering song for the month is Wake Now My Senses, verses 1 and 4, number 298 in the gray hymnal. The lyrics will appear here on the screen. Please let the song gently guide you into our time of shared meditation. Join in as you like. It's our tradition here every Sunday in the middle of our worship to share with one another our joys and sorrows, the personal milestones of our lives. We share and speak and listen with deep caring and attention so that we can get to know each other better and become better companions to one another on this journey of life. I invite anyone who has a sorrow to share to please come forward now and speak from the microphone so that everyone can hear you and see you. No one has shared any joys there. So if you would, please, Martha, light the other candle to mark and commemorate and celebrate the joys that were shared with us this morning and all the joys that remain quiet in our hearts. Let the candle be for us a reminder to feel and to express gratitude for the many, many blessings in our lives. So, as we move into our prayer time, I ask that we keep in our hearts today all those that we are worried about, people who are worried themselves or suffering today, including our federal workers, the people of Israel and Gaza, all the international students here in Boston, people in our lives and in our congregation with health challenges, people who work in universities, all of us who are facing uncertainty. I have a prayer to share from the book, Rest is Sacred, by the Black yoga teacher and coach, Octavia Rahim. She writes, "Divine One of rest, we surrender to your embrace. We are here to reclaim our brilliance through rest. Let it be so. We may be among the first in our lineage to feel rested, to trust rest, to be safe enough to embody rest. We will not be the last. Give us the courage to slow down, rest, and be at ease in a world that thrives and capitalizes on our exhaustion. A rested body is a free body. A rested heart is a liberated heart. A mind at ease is a mind that can change any paradigm. There is power in rest. There is power in rest. There is power in rest. Amen."
Our church is self-funded, supported by your generous annual pledge. You may also give to our weekly collection, which we split every month with a worthy group via our Giving Beyond Our Walls program. Remote folks can donate using the orange button at the top right corner of our homepage at melroseuu.org. For the month of May, half of our collection plate will go to the Immigrant Support Alliance, a Melrose-based network of volunteers that welcomes and assists newly arrived individuals and families as they gain footholds in our communities. This morning's offertory selection is a piece by Johann Sebastian Bach, the Allemande from the French Suite No. 4. If there's one composer that relieves my stress, it's Bach. Since I was a little child, his music has played a very, very deep place in my life.
have a reading today to share from the Black poet and activist Tricia Hersey, who calls herself the Nap Bishop and leads what she calls the Nap Ministry. These are excerpts from her book, Rest is Resistance. Rest is radical. We must stand and lay firmly in the space of creating a life filled with rest and radical care, even amid oppression. When we can begin to tap into the deep vessel of who we truly are, so many things would end about oppression. I believe the powers that be don't want us rested because they know that if we rest enough, we are going to figure out what is really happening and overturn the entire system. Exhaustion keeps us numb, keeps us zombie-like, keeps us on their clock. Overworking and the trauma of burnout continues to degrade our divinity. Once we know and remember we are divine, we will not participate and allow anything into our hearts and minds that is not loving and caring. We will treat ourselves and each other like the tender and powerful beings we are. When I say sleep helps you wake up, I mean it helps you wake up to the truth of who and what you are. End quote. So the other day I was having coffee with a good friend. Let's call her Beverly. Now she is a very accomplished person with degrees and an impressive career. She's also a very thoughtful and caring parent. Like many of us, she is outraged about the current administration and she goes to protests as often as possible, follows the news obsessively. The other day when we had coffee, she seemed a bit dispirited, like life was getting to her. So I asked. She said, "Yeah, I feel like I'm losing interest in my work and parenting and politics. I mean, the demands are just relentless and unending." She said, "No matter what I do, it's never enough. I always feel like I should be doing more." That last sentence stuck in my head for days. I always feel like I should be doing more. Is that something that you can relate to? Do you ever feel that way? Yeah. A few years ago, a woman named Amelia Nagoski was in graduate school, getting a PhD in musical arts, in conducting specifically. And during a particularly stressful time in her studies, she began feeling an intense pain in her abdomen. It didn't go away, and it didn't go away. Finally, she went to the emergency room. And there, after several hours and a complete physical rundown by several people, her pain was diagnosed as stress-induced. She was shocked. She called up her twin sister, Emily, who just happened to have a PhD in health behavior. She said, "What is going on?" Well, her sister came immediately to visit and brought a stack of peer-reviewed science. Amelia said, "I didn't know that stress could cause physiological symptoms." But yes, it can. The two of them together, based on Amelia's experience and Emily's knowledge, worked together to write a book called Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. And you may have heard of it. It was a groundbreaking book and a New York Times bestseller for a couple of years. Now, according to these twin sisters, what is the difference between stress and burnout? It's important to know, especially this time of year. I find May is a super busy time of year. Some people call it Maycember because it's almost like December with all of the things that are going on in our lives. So it's a good time to think about this. According to the two sisters, it's important to think about the difference between stressors, which are things that cause stress, like worries about money, overwork, parenting. Those are stressors. And stress is what happens in your body in response to that, to any perceived threat. Largely, the stress in your body is the same. Whatever the stressor is outside of you, what happens in your body is basically the same. Because for 95% of human evolution, of course, we lived in hunter-gatherer societies, and our bodies were designed and remain designed for that sort of lifestyle. So most of the threats and the stressors we faced were physical. Like, we'd be out hunting or gathering and suddenly be chased by a wild animal, right? And that's a stressor. What do? You start running. Run. And if you survive, you get back to your village, you do a little dance, yay, the lion didn't eat me today. And all that physicality, the running, the dancing, releases all the stress, the adrenaline, the cortisol, the energy, all the stuff your body made to deal with the stress. The running, the dancing, uses it up, burns it up. In the modern world, however, we have many, many different types of stressors, and usually they're not physical ones. Yet the same stress response happens in our bodies, adrenaline, cortisol, and they're not getting released. Like this canister of water, they just keep getting filled higher and higher and higher, and we're not releasing them. One of the most stressful things in modern life can be just your commute home from work. So maybe you have a stressful day at work or a stressful interaction with someone in your life, and you're driving through traffic, and you get home finally. And what do? All this stress in your body? Maybe you eat some food and watch TV. Well, the stress is still there. You haven't discharged it. So in the book, they talk about how you discharge the stress, how you get away from burnout, and that's when it's filled up and you have this feeling of disconnection. Somebody named Herbert Freudenberger was the first to study burnout in the 1970s, and he studied it as a phenomenon only in the workplace. But ever since then, it's been expanded and studied in various aspects of our lives. And usually, whenever someone suffers burnout, we all experience burnout differently, but it usually has three main components. The first one is depersonalization, which means you separate yourself emotionally from whatever the stressor is. So maybe if it's work, you stop caring so much about work. You separate yourself emotionally from it. 2, the second component is a decreased sense of accomplishment. So you feel like you're working harder, but it makes less of a difference. So that's kind of close to depersonalization. But somehow you're working harder, but you're getting less sense of accomplishment from it. And then the third thing is emotional exhaustion. And we all feel burnout when we feel it in different ways, but it usually has those three components. And it can happen in different parts of our lives. Anything that places demands on us, like parenting, like politics, social activism, all of those things can cause burnout. So even if you're not actively working, you can suffer from burnout. And I feel like in this political environment, with all that we've been doing, maybe a lot of us are feeling burnout now. So what do you do about it? Is there a way when you're full, like the canister, that you can drain out the water? Yes, there is, thankfully. The problem is you have to learn to speak the language of your body. You can't think your way out of burnout. You actually have to help your body feel safe. Release what's happening, release all those stress hormones, and let your body relax. So how do we do that? The Nagoskis and other experts give us 7 suggestions. The first is exercise. You probably could have guessed. Physical activity, anything that gets your heart rate up. Dancing, walking, swimming, releases the stress hormones and resets the brain. Second is breathing deeply. Taking slow breaths down regulates the stress reaction. Box breathing is kind of a series of breathing exercises or deep abdominal breathing. 3, social interactions, but engaged ones. They help us to see that the rest of the world is trustworthy. So if you can be with someone you love for a solid 20 minutes, that can help you regulate your body. 4, nothing is as good for us as laughter. A deep belly laugh releases dopamine, reinforces our social bonds, helps us regulate our emotions. 5 is affection and a deep connection with someone you love, like a 20 plus second hug. So this is a hug that lasts for more than 20 seconds with someone you love, or even petting a pet can release that kind of dopamine and help your body calm down. Even a stuffed animal can help you regulate. Number 6 is creative expression. Creativity helps us externalize and express big emotions. And I like number 7 especially, have a big old cry. Crying flushes out the stress hormones that get accumulated. Try not to dwell on the story you're telling yourself about the stressor. It may not be true, but giving yourself the space to cry helps you release all that stress. All these things are great to keep in mind. And I was thinking about them the other day when I had coffee with my friend Beverly. I tried to tell her to take her stress seriously, to make sure that she had some plan to release it regularly so she wouldn't get to the stage of burnout. But somehow she couldn't quite hear me. She said, "How can I do that? I'm just too busy. The world is too messed up. Too many people need me all day, every day." She made me think. It's true, a lot of people do need her. But the thing is, people need her for the long run, for years and years to come. If she doesn't take care of herself, she won't be around for them. The truth is, we all need each other for the long haul. And more than that, in the big picture, each of us is more and worth more than just our work, worth more than what we produce for the economy, worth more than the good we can do for each other. We each have inherent worth and dignity, as our religion tells us, just as human beings, just being, not even doing. The answer in the long run isn't just self-care, it's bigger than that. It's self-change and culture change. The Nagoski sisters say the way to avoid burnout in the long run is to create a strong emotional support system around yourself. They call it a bubble of love. They surround themselves with people who care for their well-being as much as they care about others, like a community, a church community like this one, all of us caring for each other. Every day in your life, you need people who can give you, anytime you need it, at least 15 or 20 minutes of deep listening, at least a 20-second hug. People who say, "I'm with you, I'm on your side, no matter what." Emily Nagoski says, "My little reminder to myself is when the little voice inside says, 'I need more grit.' What I realize is that I actually need more help. When the little voice says, 'My sister needs more discipline,' I remind myself that what she actually needs is more kindness." That's the culture change we need writ large. We don't need to be tougher, to work harder. What we need is to be kinder to ourselves and to each other. The Nat Bishop reminds us, exhaustion keeps us numb, keeps us zombie-like. Once we know and remember that we are divine, we will not allow anything into our hearts that is not loving and caring. We will treat each other like the tender and powerful beings we are. Oh, to live in a world like that. With Octavia Rahim, we prayed in our prayer today. Give us the courage to slow down, to rest, to be at ease in a world that thrives on our exhaustion. Because when we are rested, we come back to our true selves, to our own deep knowing, to our own special creativity. We rediscover in ourselves a problem-solving genius that we need now more than ever. Rahim says, a rested body is a free body. A rested heart is a liberated heart. A mind at ease is a mind that can change any paradigm. Unquote. So this summer, I pray for you and for me and for all of us to have and to make that powerful rest, to have and to make a deep reset that will help us all to last longer, to be better, and eventually, maybe, to reset the whole beautiful world. Amen. Please rise in body or in spirit for our final hymn, which is For All That Is Our Life, number 128. The lyrics will appear here on the screen. Please join in as you feel. Please remain standing and join with me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be seated. Thank you so much for joining with us in worship this morning. After a lovely postlude from Tom, you are welcome to join us for refreshments in Parish Hall, which is the next big room in that direction. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and happy Sunday.